Hi, I'm Anna.
I'm Ben.
We're AutoSave. Welcome to our channel.
Today we're watching Rezero, Season 2, Episode 8. Last episode, I got something that I didn't deserve. That was the epitome of perfection in Auto, and what he means to Subaru, and more importantly, what Subaru means to him. And I'm not gonna lie, I doubted Auto for a second there, and I regret it. Auto is the best, and was the best, and will continue to be the best. We've met up with Ram now, and I'm excited and a little bit nervous because it's Rezero to continue.
Also, what they ended off last episode. Yes, we ran out with Otto and we met up with Ram. All great. Feeling really confident about that one. But then Garfield's reaction. His reaction, there was some growth that happened there. Some beast transformation, possibly.
I wonder what the differences will be with his sister, you know?
I also
Who
wonder.
will look cooler?
We know that they have a different percentage of like beast blood and human blood.
True.
So
do you think that will affect the transformation
I think
much?
it could possibly affect what they look like in transformation.
Let's see it. You ready?
Yeah.
Sweet. Yes, of course.
It was because what Otto said to him.
He zeroed him out. It's like a reset. For?
To figure something out.
I love this intro so much.
Rezero doesn't really give you the intro and outro very often, actually.
Yeah. My enemy.
Similar to hers.
They're not very convincing. Closely resembling a gospel.
Maybe it's gospel of Echidna. Maybe she has her own.
Okay. Okay.
2 copies. Because to her it is.
That's an interesting plot point I need to come back to.
That person.
Okay.
Interesting. So cryptic, I love it. A contract she has with Roswell? Because doesn't she have one with him?
Do you trust Roswell?
I trust that he has his own motives or reasons. I don't see him as like a true enemy, I guess.
Same.
Fun.
Yes.
And this would be helping. It was!
Oh, shit.
Sanctuary's under threat.
Do you think Ram's gonna have to hold them off?
Possibly.
Hold them off? What? Okay.
She really is gonna hold him off. I wouldn't have to resort to?
Okay. What do you have, Otto?
We know he has great hearing, and...
Okay, Otto. Because they believe in you.
I know that... I don't think
Already?
people can stall. Oh my god. What is it? Oh my god. Oh my.
It's like the size of Puck.
Oh my.
Holy shit.
Oh my god.
Garf wins.
No!
No!
Absolutely freaking not! No! No!
Throwing rocks at him.
He's being dragged away. Do you see the blood? Are you sure you don't want to? I thought he'd be like transported to see Echidna.
Are we in Amelia's challenge?
That'd be insane. He's either been asleep for a really long time, or we are about to confront Amelia's past with her.
I mean, setting's the same, so it
Oh,
just...
the people of Arlong. I thought for sure Echidna would be transporting him to be like, are you sure you don't have questions for me?
It might still be something like that.
What the...
How would he just wake up in like...
Cute. It might be a mean rabbit.
What?
Stop!
Did you see the symbol on one of them?
Holy, this is nightmare fuel. Dude! No! Absolutely not!
It's in him!
That was his, like, tongue! No, thank you. No, thank you to any of that. Horrifying.
Okay, I'm happy. Never mind.
But you've qualified to come back.
Feel free to be proud.
Ask some questions, Subaru, please.
外に出るとお前のことを忘れちまうっていう制約だよ。そうじゃなくてもお前を覚えていたい。対価が必要なら他に何でも払ってやる。その代わりお前は俺の記憶に隠れる。
That's kind of romantic. I like it. A little flustered.
しないけど君は少し卑怯だと思うな。
I love Echidna so much.
僕の体液をそんなに茶化すな。お前どこまで俺の事情を知ってるんだ。知っていることなら知っている限りのことを、知りたいことならこの世のすべてを知りたいと思っているね。
I love her.
お前が妙に思わないはずがないんだよ。お前にとっては
Exactly. What would be the prerequisite to be able to be invited back? She can see the ability.
時は君が僕の亡骸の前で泣き崩れることに期待しようか。駅だな。俺は死に戻りをしている。
Holy shit.
そんなにジロジロと見られると恥ずかしいな。
To get to say this out loud.
I'm in disbelief. Oh, it's been so long. That looked familiar, huh?
君のこれまでの足跡を知っている。見たからね。だからできるなら君の口から教えてほしい。君がこれまで何を思い、どう感じて、どれほど抱えてきたか、それを知りたい。 だって僕はこの世の全てを知りたいと欲する強欲の魔女液ドナだからね。
I get you. I understand.
I've never been more heard in my entire life. Okay, that was Rezero, Season 2, Episode 8. So, at a certain point in that episode that I'm sure you could guess when this was, I was like, this is the worst episode of Rezero.
Oh, yeah,
I
no.
fucking hate this show. I hate the series. Why the fuck would you do it to me? I was so upset, and I was like, I was devastated, and I've never hated a character more than I did Garf for about 5 minutes. And then my entire life has been flipped on its head, and in the matter of 5 minutes, I have gone from the lowest point of my life to the highest point of my life. What an episode, man.
We didn't really have much in terms of like learning anything yet in this episode, in terms of like Subaru figuring out how to best handle his next life, other than avoid a fight with Garf at all costs. Really is what we've learned here, and that he will go into this next life knowing how Otto truly feels about him, meaning Otto won't have to say how he feels, and they can just have like a little silent understanding of each other. But I just, in terms of Garf, I know it's kind of weird to like immediately go into talking about it sometimes, because I feel like a range of emotions from being like really emotional and happy about the end, but also like terrified because of those bunny rabbits. But I feel like need to get into it, need to be saying some things about the episode itself.
Yeah.
So my mind is going to go to Garf first, because I feel like the interaction with Garf and what happens is really like the biggest chunk, the first chunk even. Maybe actually Roswell is the first bit before Garf. But I'll just say what I had to say quickly about Garf, and then if we talk about him again later, that's
about
like,
how he's mean and evil, and every part of me that liked him is in the gutter now.
That might be something that we talk about once we really get to his actions.
Fair.
But my first out of the gate thing that I wanted to say is that we've talked about before that in terms of this sanctuary arc, that it's been really intriguing to see characters go from allies in some lives and then antagonists in other lives, depending on how Subaru handles those lives and how he speaks to people and his actions. And how we saw Garf go from like not really antagonistic, but more so like kind of like a hard to please, kind of rough around the edges character that was probably soft on the inside. If you like spent enough time with him, he would like you.
Yeah.
And we saw that happen. We saw a really great conversation with Subaru and Garf as we're leaving the sanctuary. Garf is leading them out of the sanctuary. He's helping them. He's agreeing to helping the people of Arlam. He's telling Subaru, like, hey, are we sure that we want to keep doing this to Amelia? There's a softness there, there's a love there, and there's a care there. And that's our initial kind of glimpse at who he really is. We're like told to be wary of him, we're told to try to avoid him. And then when we meet him, we're like, oh, this guy's a little tough to get to know, tough to love. But then we get to see that he's actually really soft, and we're like, oh, were those warnings for really nothing? Like, there wasn't too much to worry about. He's just maybe a more difficult personality. And then we see that it absolutely was the case to be wary of him, and that he can literally flip on a dime from being, I'm going to be your friend now, and slightly like rough around the edges, to surrender here or I will literally kill everyone. And that is like a giant leap, and to be given a character and see their good side first, their ally side first, and then to be shown them as like villain, like not even antagonist. He's murdering people. He's in villain territory.
In a less harsh way, that's what it reminded me of last season in terms of like Rem and Ram being introduced to them. Oh my god, we got killed by one of them early on. Mm-hmm. We need to pick the right choices, But with Garth, it is so harsh. Like, okay, imagine it like in a video game, right? Like with every other character in this like world, you can make right choices and respond in the positive way or the correct answer. And if you don't, aw darn, that's a -1. If you mess up one time
It's
with
like a
Garth,
minefield. This
yeah,
whole world is like a political, divisive minefield. Like, we had these conversations starting out this episode with the idea of, are you my ally? Are you my enemy? And Roswell's kind of like giving this idea that maybe you shouldn't just be considering people so heavily your enemy. Like, there's usefulness to a lot of people, and maybe you might not agree on everything, but that doesn't mean they're your enemy. And I think that getting that right out, right at the start of the episode is really like a theme from this
yeah.
whole show, is that everyone is trying to do what is best for them or their camp or their people, or for themselves and their own greed or motives. And sometimes that'll cross paths with yours and will line up in ideals or wants and goals, but other times you might be in the way of whatever it is that they are trying to achieve or do.
Everybody else is their own individual with their own wants and desires, and their own like side to play.
And we just happen to be in a more like political situation where the goals and the needs and the wants, and even a magical society too, that if you're in the way of those things, we're much quicker to the idea of violence and or stopping you by locking you up somewhere.
Yeah, but like even in season 1, right? We learned throughout the first season that even though there are people who aren't, 100% for your cause, if you go about your interactions the right way and then maybe even try to cut a deal with them, their actions and what their desires are can be beneficial like
Yep.
in the end for you.
It's like you're playing a game with all of these people. I mean, we've said before that like Subaru almost has to be a strategist. Like, he doesn't have magic in this world. He doesn't have superior strength in this world, but what he does have is knowledge and also charisma. A way with people want to be near him, and they want to be friends with him, and they want to trust in him. He has these things in his back pocket. He is like a strategist on the battlefield. And so it really is a game that he has to figure out. Like, every single person in this universe, he can't disregard one of them. You can't forget that one of them exists and not play your cards right with each and every person. You have to play your cards right with each and every person, because all of them are moving separately.
Yeah.
And they could make their own decision based on your actions, and boom, life over.
I haven't watched enough like shows with this like interpolitical like candidacy like aspect to it, because it breeds in like a format of multiple gray areas within characters.
It's like you have that and that conflict, but then you also have the fact that there's like villains of the world.
Yeah.
The villains of common enemies, but are the enemies even enemies?
The
like,
lore to them, right?
Yeah.
But it like, I love the idea that it breeds, because it makes like for each character's interaction to be so much more unpredictable.
Mm-hmm.
Like if it's just like, oh, there's a good guy and a bad guy, and this other guy isn't really sure what side he's going to lie on. You're like, okay, he's probably going to end up on the good guy's side and fight the bad guy. But it's so many different iterations of the same chess pieces. It's
Right.
like seeing simulations of like a chess match, but if you just play it slightly differently each time.
And there's an unpredictable nature to it, as you said, that reflects a true humanity, is that as Subaru has seen, he can't go into a life predicting how someone is going to react to something or how something is going to go, because he's gone in confident, thinking that he knows how to handle it now, and then it completely backfires and goes downhill, which is a nice contrast to this idea that we know, and this is a good segue, that something like a gospel exists in this world that is future telling, that is dictating or annotating what people's movements in this world will be in the future, and what is to come, when the people themselves don't even know what their action is going to be until the world around them creates that action.
In regards to like the gospel and talking about Betty and what she actually has, right? It's a text predicting the true future, I believe.
The true future is a nice, interesting way to put it.
Yeah.
The true future. Because that could be be in a few different directions that could be talking about.
It definitely could. And I have questions of what that means in terms of, like, Echidna and her perception of reality. You know? I'm trying to find the exact lines that come up in terms of Roswell talking about it. She is not a witch cultist. That book of hers is not a gospel. It is a magical text that tells the true future, of which only 2 copies exist in this world. And it's the closest there is to the Tome of Wisdom. Tome of Wisdom? But she definitely said it was a gospel. Everything I do is in accordance with the gospel's guidance, I suppose. That is because it lacks an official name. Thus, it is given the same name used for the defective versions. Defective?
And Subaru kind of just skips over that. He's like, he's not going to get too into the defective. He's going to still be focusing on Betty in this conversation. But you and I, we're going to get into this word choice of defective versions.
It's hard because it's like my mind would instantly go to their accounts of multiple different, like, it's almost like a multiversal, like, script, right? There's different books that predict different outcomes, but these outcomes aren't necessarily the one that is supposed to happen in this, like, true timeline. That's where my mind instantly jumps to.
This is the true future. And the gospels that the witch cultists have could be more a future to strive for their witch, the witch that they are trying to bring back to life. That this is the future that they need to have happen in order to have her live once again amongst them.
What do you think entails this true future? Like, what do you think that is? My mind would instantly go to a world with no Subaru in it, based off of Betty's responses to him in the last episode. But it could have also been the specific thing Subaru wasn't doing correctly at that time, and he is in the true, future gospel. Or, like, okay, how do the witches, like, interact with the true future? The idea that Echidna is able to see Return by Death, is that like an afterlife thing?
That, or is it the fact that she is greed and wisdom, that is what her thing is. She wants to be all-knowing, and she has been seeing all of this. She's been watching all of this. Is it an afterlife thing, or is it because of her status as a witch of gaining immense knowledge?
If she is a witch who can observe multiple different, like, lives, how does that not step on the territory of, like, a true future, Like, who created this book that there are only 2 copies of, that's close to the Tome of Wisdom, that can tell the true future?
I could see it being Echidna herself that created something like that. I could also see a possibility that a true future would be one where the witches in general no longer held influence over this world. That maybe their existence was the first thing that should not have happened, not Subaru's.
Yeah.
That the witches themselves and what happened with them, and they're each having such a strong kind of personality that had them try so hard for whichever of the deadly sins that they were focused on, that each one of them had this immense power in order to become so prolific. So such a big idea, to have such followers, and then to be one of them, bring the demise of the rest of them, but also to the world, that maybe a true future is one without the witch's influence at all.
Yeah.
Any of them. And that we need to take someone that didn't know of that world to come here and kind of get rid of it, and get rid of the stigma that surrounds Amelia. Remove the witches, remove the stigma, remove all that they did to this world, good and bad influence, and just put it aside. Be like, this is no more of this world, we are moving forward. A true kind of rebuilding and healing from what the Witch of Envy did.
Yeah. If you could see, if you were all knowing and had that knowledge, then like I feel like you'd be able to have a good guess of what should be happening.
Yeah.
Maybe like
That's just like where
if
my
history
mind
repeats
went,
itself.
is because they have almost this godlike status, then maybe they would think of themselves in some universe as maybe these people would have been better off without our intrusion, or our, as Puck is supposed to not be too involved in Amelia's life and let her live her own life, maybe the witches would also be, it's possible that they could have a similar mindset, that maybe we shouldn't have gotten so involved with man's affairs. I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure there's certain like Greek gods that had felt like that, or had done things and realized maybe they shouldn't be trifling so much with like the everyday life of man. But and so the witches are kind of in that status for me. They are these legends, these I mean, the fact that one of them can even transport you to this internal tea room when she's dead, like that's power that is not even of this world in terms of magic. Like there's magic in this world, but it's like here's some wind. And
the idea of like a text saying the true future, it's like, okay, Betty obviously believes in that and follows it extremely like with respect, right? And it's so fickle to change seemingly based off like and how it interacts with Subaru's ability of return by death, right? Then like how is Betty supposed to react? What is Betty supposed to do here? So like we have the idea of now instead Subaru's going to tell Betty that I am that person, right? Is that itself written in the true text?
I wonder if there is something like there will be a person that comes that will, something like that, some type of prophecy of a person that comes. And I wouldn't be surprised if Roswaal, when Subaru showed up, like everyone can tell he smells like the witch. Everyone can. And so Roswaal's always seemed like he's been sneakily planning things, and then possibly he even has more inklings about who Subaru is, or that Subaru is special, than he lets on. Every time Subaru says something, he's like, oh, sounds like you've heard that before. That kind of energy of like, oh, okay. He's like playing with it. It's like a game, and he's kind of aware that Subaru is special. And it wouldn't be surprising to me that if he had gone and spoken to Betty, and maybe Betty didn't tell him anything specifically, but maybe he kind of vetted the situation at least a little bit in terms of like some response she gave in regards to, should I let Subaru stay here? Or what do you think about him? Oh, Betty's okay with Subaru? Then I'm okay with Subaru.
Do you think Roswaal's read the book?
I feel like, I don't know. I mean, it seems like if it's her gospel and she said mother and stuff, but she's hugging it, I don't know if she'd let anyone read it.
But in terms of the contract that I think they have, right?
Oh, they do have a contract, and we do not know necessarily what that entails. If you're right to bring up that possibility. Roswaal does seem like he's kind of playing a game, and he has these Subaru has had issue with him in the past with doing things that he's like, what if you had known this was gonna happen, why didn't you do something? And Roswaal's kind of been like, I knew you would come through, I knew you would fix it. And we've been like, yeah, on the 5th try he fixed it. So maybe the true future is that Subaru fixes it.
Maybe.
And so Roswaal's just kind of like operating with what he's supposed to do in that situation.
I guess it doesn't have to be a contract with Roswaal, though. I mean, the language is like says that it is in the contract that she's powerless to override.
The contract we were referring to when first season when we get introduced to Betty. I believe there was language that they have a contract together. Just not sure what it is.
Do you think that this contract could be referring to a contract about following the true future, or possibly, like how she like respects it in a way?
Yeah, like she could have multiple contracts.
Timestamp 9:16 I wrote down to talk about because I thought it was interesting and I had never heard it before, and I probably have and forgot about it. But Hoshin was Banon's sunset. That's basically like an ultimatum, right? Like, and like surrender or
I don't think you would have heard it before because Subaru hasn't heard it before. So I don't think this is like real world history.
Do you think we're going to like ever touch on that again?
Possibly. I
I
mean,
love the piece of
Subaru
lore.
might use it. Once Subaru learns something, he could always utilize it himself going forward. And now that he knows some type of idiom phrase that is commonly known, he might choose to use it or say it.
Yeah. God, the bunny scene.
Too much. That is... Oh
The bunny
my God.
scene watching Otto get absolutely eviscerated was the worst moment of my day.
The worst chain of events that could possibly have happened.
My truck blew up yesterday, and this is worse.
His truck literally blew up yesterday. It was very terrifying.
And this was worse. I would have rather that happen again.
I don't know.
I didn't like seeing it.
Okay, well, you did it. The truck, you're safe.
Yeah. Otto
Subaru
isn't.
is not safe, and Otto is not safe in
Mhm.
this. So okay, you're right.
Yep. Right after like we got called into the tea party here, I was like scribbling in my notebook because I was like, why? That makes no sense. No time would have passed, and then it comes to fruition. I had not thought we would have a moment like this in a long time in Rezero. Being able to communicate to another character about Return by Death.
Good.
It was so emotional, man, because like imagine like keeping that in. You have to, or you're going to die, or people that you love are going to die. Keeping that in for this entire time, not being able to share the horrific things you've gone through with anybody but yourself.
Yes, and I especially loved Echidna's lines to Subaru, about dialogue to Subaru about wishing to hear how it felt, how this time has been, everything that she couldn't get from just watching alone, and that there's this greed element there, like, oh, I'm the witch of greed, I want to know everything, but there's also like a softness there. It's like I'm mutually beneficial.
Yeah, exactly.
Which has kind of been what Subaru has learned about this world, is that everything that he wants, if he wants help from someone or allyship with someone, it needs to be mutually beneficial.
I love it. Like I would have been slightly upset if the line wasn't said, right?
It needed to be like, transactional.
Yeah, I know every step you've taken on your path here. I was watching, and right at that moment, I was like, oh my god, I feel like I have a connection with Echidna. So Echidna's obviously being like, I was watching, but I wasn't able to really understand the situation. And I'm fearful that the show's not going to go in that direction. And then Echidna like looks at Subaru's face, lifts it up, and then it's like, but watching is all that I was doing. Wipes away a tear. So if you can, I'd like you to tell me yourself what you have thought, how you have felt, and how much weight you have carried. It's this like insatiable hunger for needing and having that craving to know every like motive, detail, every mystery, every unknown, and I'm in love with it. I love it. Echidna is my favorite character in this series.
It needed to be transactional or mutually beneficial for it to feel this good for the viewer. If she was like, oh, you poor baby, let me hear about it, I'd be like, no, you're
there'd be no motive for her. There'd be no motivation.
At least have a motive.
Yeah. I love it. Echidna is hands down my favorite character.
We're not wanting you to be some like completely selfless, like, I don't know, partner here in this. Like, be Echidna.
I need a poster, I need a figure, I need a sticker, a tattoo. I don't know. Echidna's great. I think that the best moment of the episode, though, is what it did for Subaru. I love this show primarily for its writing, and it was something I didn't expect for a long time, and I think that the way that they delivered it through Echidna and through a motive from her, or at least a desire from her, is a better way to approach him telling somebody for the first time, because it's not just all about Subaru here. It's a chance for Subaru as a character to kind of break a little bit to somebody even like Echidna. It's awesome. I liked it.
I liked it too.
Hmm.
I just didn't like the bunny scene.
Or the Garf scene.
Or the
Garf
Garf
looked
scene
like
with
Puck,
Otto.
dude.
So Garf is the one with the more percentage of beast blood, yes?
Yeah.
And that is why he has to stay. He can't get out, and that's why Frederica could get out.
I don't know what happened after the entire village was killed, and then Subaru waking up in this like jail cell again, but nobody's here
It seems like
except bunnies.
Garf just kind of went crazy here, and all of the people of Arlam obviously came to try to help Subaru, and they all probably died there. And then it's possible that he went just so rogue that
He killed everyone here?
everyone died, and then the beasts took over. There was a symbol. They were mob
It looked like the
beasts,
Mobby
right?
symbol, yeah.
Yeah. So he just transformed, and then mob beasts took over the area.
Could you, okay, in a fucked up world, could you see this as the Mobbies helping? You know, like, with the understanding that a witch now understands return by death, it kind of is a benefit that he dies here. Granted, it is in the fucking most horrific way possible.
Oh, there's been some horrific ways to die. There's been grotesque things that have happened to other characters. One of the ones that comes to mind that is up there with this is Rem being held like a rag doll by battle geese.
I have nightmares about that one.
That's up there in terms of just like really bad. This is definitely up there too. If we were to rank, that could be fun. Rank worst Subaru deaths.
That would be awful to have to watch them again, but I'd enjoy it.
We maybe don't need to watch them again. I think we'd remember what some of the worst ones were.
As like retribution or penance for watching this rabbit scene, I feel like we should rewatch a scene from another show we recently watched about a guy like murdering a ton of hares, you know, in like a very action anime way.
So that we could like then feel a little better.
Yeah.
This is like Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
I haven't seen that.
There's the bunny thing. It's very similar.
Really?
Yeah.
Never watching that movie.
It's just a flesh wound.
Alright, that's all I have you.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and we hope to see you next time.